You're on a date. It's going well. At first, you're cracking jokes, being charming and trying to impress. But then something shifts. She stops laughing. You notice her looking away, her attention drifting. You feel it, the rush of panic, the pressure to fix things. But what if, instead of panicking, you simply paused, took a breath, and let the moment pass? What if emotional control, not flashy gestures, was the real key to creating a lasting connection? It might sound simple, but it's not. In a world that values quick fixes and instant gratification, mastering your emotions can feel like a lost art. But here's the truth. Emotional intelligence, the kind that comes from understanding and applying Stoic principles, is what truly attracts others. It's the quiet power that makes you stand out, not the number of jokes you tell or the gifts you give. So, what's the secret behind this ancient philosophy, and why should you care? Well, Stoicism isn't just about controlling your emotions. It's about unlocking your inner strength, staying grounded, and attracting the right people into your life. This isn't just theory, it's science. Modern psychology and neuroscience back up these practices, showing that emotional strength is the foundation of great relationships. If you want to learn more about how Stoicism can transform your dating life and relationships, like this video and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more insights. Let's dive into how mastering yourself is the first step toward mastering your relationships. Number 1. Redefining strength, emotional intelligence over alpha male myths. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Skillful pilots gain their reputation from storms and tempests. Epictetus. He stood there, eyes locked on her, trying to make a good impression. He had practiced his lines, rehearsed his jokes, and was ready to show her that he was the alpha she would be drawn to. He wasn't just any man. He was the man who could dominate any room, who could charm with ease. But then, as the evening unfolded, something unexpected happened. The usual confidence he prided himself on started to fade. He could feel the pressure building, the weight of his own expectations crushing him. She wasn't responding the way he anticipated. She wasn't laughing at his jokes, and her smile seemed forced. His mind raced, and he began to panic, worried that he was losing her. The energy that had once flowed so freely now felt strained and artificial. He wasn't in control anymore. Then, something strange occurred. Instead of pushing harder, trying to force the connection with more bravado, he took a moment. He paused. In that instant, he remembered something important: Stoic wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. He remembered this quote, and in a quiet shift, he stopped trying to impress her. Instead, he focused on calming his own mind, on simply being present in the moment. When he stopped chasing validation and let go of his need to control her reactions, something unexpected happened. She began to relax. Her posture softened. The tension between them dissolved. They started talking about real things, who they were, what they cared about, and how they viewed the world. There was no more game, no more trying to win each other's approval. Just two people, sitting across from each other, connecting. In that moment, he learned a vital lesson that echoed through the teachings of Stoicism. True strength comes from within. It is not the external acts of dominance or bravado that command respect. It's the internal power of emotional control, the ability to remain grounded when everything around you threatens to knock you off balance. And that, my friend, is the kind of strength that attracts others, not the alpha mask he had been trying to wear. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that strength means being the loudest, most dominant person in the room. Society tells us that to be attractive, we need to be alpha, that we must assert ourselves, take charge, and display power in every situation. But Stoic philosophy challenges this idea. It teaches us that true strength isn't about trying to control others or constantly proving our worth. Instead, it's about controlling ourselves, mastering our emotions, and responding with calmness and dignity to the world around us. In modern relationships, especially dating, the idea of the alpha male is often glorified. Movies, TV shows, and even social media have perpetuated this image of the strong, silent man who takes charge, who is always in control and never shows vulnerability. But what's rarely shown is that this type of strength is often rooted in insecurity. It's an external shell, a facade designed to hide internal fears and anxieties. Stoicism flips this notion on its head. The Stoic idea of strength doesn't require external validation. Instead, it comes from the understanding that we cannot control the external world, only our reactions to it. A Stoic man or woman doesn't need to dominate every situation because their true power lies in their ability to maintain emotional balance, no matter what is happening around them. This isn't to say that Stoics are emotionless or indifferent. On the contrary, they are deeply in tune with their feelings. They just don't let those feelings dictate their actions. Take a moment to think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where you tried so hard to impress someone, only to end up pushing them away because you were trying too hard? You might have become nervous, started talking too much, or tried to act in ways that weren't authentic. This kind of behavior is a perfect example of what happens when we're disconnected from our true selves and our emotional strength. Now, imagine the opposite. What if you could walk into any room, calm and centered, unshaken by the opinions or reactions of others? What if you could communicate with clarity and confidence without the need for validation or approval? This is the kind of emotional mastery Stoicism encourages. It's the kind of strength that doesn't rely on external circumstances, but is grounded in your own sense of self-worth and emotional resilience. When you apply Stoic principles in dating, relationships, and life in general, you stop playing games. You stop seeking validation from others because you no longer need it. You become someone who attracts others not through performance, but through your presence. You create connections based on mutual respect, authenticity, and emotional intelligence, qualities that are far more attractive and sustainable than any alpha persona. So here's the question. What would it feel like to let go of the need to constantly prove yourself? What if you could simply be yourself? Calm, grounded, and emotionally intelligent. Imagine how your relationships could transform if you stopped chasing approval and started showing up as the best version of yourself, with complete emotional control. It's time to redefine what strength means. True strength isn't about being the loudest, most dominant person in the room. It's about being the calm in the storm, the one who remains unshaken, no matter what the world throws at you. This is the real power, the kind of power that creates deeper, more meaningful connections in your life. So next time you're faced with a situation where you feel the urge to prove your worth, take a moment to pause and reflect. Focus on your emotional control. Embrace your inner strength and watch how your relationships begin to change. Number 2. The quiet power of minimalism in relationships. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. He had it all, or so he thought. The perfect apartment, the shiny car, and a wardrobe that could make any fashionista jealous. He was living the dream, or at least the dream he'd been told he should live. When it came to dating, he pulled out all the stops. Expensive dinners, flashy gifts, and elaborate surprises. It was all part of the game. He was playing by the rules, impressing with the grand gestures he believed would win her over. But as the days passed, something felt off. Despite all the luxury he could afford, the connection he shared with her seemed shallow. Sure, she smiled at the gifts, and they had fun on their dates, but there was a sense that something deeper was missing. It wasn't that she didn't appreciate the gestures. It was that she longed for something more, something that couldn't be bought or planned. What was it? Then came the turning point. One evening, after another grand dinner, they found themselves sitting on a park bench, staring at the stars. No expensive restaurant, no flashy gifts, just the two of them, in silence, enjoying the quiet. He'd put all his energy into impressing her, but now, for the first time, he stopped trying. And something unexpected happened. She opened up. She started talking about her passions, her childhood, her dreams. In that simple, quiet moment, they truly connected. What he learned that night was simple but profound. True connection isn't built on grand gestures. It's built on presence. It's not about what you can give her, but about how deeply you can be with her. This was Stoicism in action, though he didn't realize it at the time. Stoicism teaches us that true wealth doesn't come from external possessions or accolades. It comes from understanding our inner world and being able to share that authenticity with others. It's the quiet power of minimalism in relationships, where less really is more. Think about it. How many times have you felt like you had to go all out to impress someone? The dinners, the gifts, the constant attempts to entertain. What if all of that is distracting us from the real thing that matters? What if the true emotional connection is found in simplicity? In relationships, we often believe that in order to win someone over, we have to give them everything. More attention, more gifts, more excitement. But Stoicism encourages us to take a step back and recognize that true connection doesn't come from what we do for others. It comes from how we show up, how present we are, and how much we value the simple moments. When we apply Stoic principles, we start to realize that less is often more. You don't need to impress anyone with expensive gifts or try to outdo yourself on every date. Instead, focus on the quality of your presence. Think about the times when you felt most connected with someone. Was it during an extravagant dinner, or was it when you shared something real, something simple? Let's take a closer look. Imagine you're on a date with someone who is constantly checking their phone, glancing at the door, or looking around to see if anyone more interesting walks by. How does that make you feel? Unimportant, right? Now, picture this. Someone who gives you their full attention, listens to every word you say, and reacts with genuine interest. You don't need grand gestures for that kind of connection. You need emotional presence. And here's the unexpected twist. By embracing minimalism in relationships, you don't just create more meaningful connections with others, you also create a stronger connection with yourself. The Stoic idea of living simply and focusing on what truly matters helps clear the clutter in your own life too. It allows you to stop overthinking and start being who you truly are, without the need to impress anyone. Here's the kicker. When you stop trying so hard to impress others, you actually become more attractive. This isn't about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about being grounded in who you are. It's about showing up as yourself, fully, without needing external validation. When you embrace the quiet power of minimalism, you give others the opportunity to appreciate you for exactly who you are. So, let me ask you, when was the last time you truly connected with someone without trying to win their approval? When you stopped worrying about what to say next or how to impress them, and simply enjoyed the moment? How much more could you connect with others if you embraced simplicity in your relationships? The Stoics were masters at finding strength in simplicity. They understood that the less we focus on external distractions and materialism, the more we can connect with what truly matters: our inner peace, our authenticity, and the people we choose to share that with. And here's the thing. You don't have to be perfect. It's not about always being calm or never making mistakes. It's about being present, being real, and letting go of the need to impress. You'll find that when you're not trying to buy affection, force connection, or constantly perform, the relationships you build will be stronger, deeper, and more fulfilling. So I ask you again, what would it look like if you embraced the quiet power of minimalism in your relationships? What if, instead of trying to impress, you focused on being your true self and sharing the simple moments that matter? What could your connections look like then? Number 3. The digital age dilemma: mastering confidence in a world of comparisons. How much better to be a person of worth than to be one who is admired? Seneca. He sat across from her at a small cafe, the kind with dim lights and a quiet hum of conversations that made it feel intimate, even though they had just met. He could feel his palms sweating slightly, a mix of excitement and anxiety bubbling up inside him. She was beautiful, there was no denying it. But as he glanced at her, he couldn't help but feel a small pang of self-doubt creeping in. She seemed so effortless, so comfortable in her skin, while he couldn't shake the feeling that he was somehow out of his depth. She was telling a funny story about her travels, how she once got lost in a foreign city and ended up discovering a hidden gem of a cafe. He smiled and laughed along with her, but his mind was racing. Is my life interesting enough? Do I have anything to say that compares to her adventures? As he listened, a voice in his head kept comparing his ordinary life to hers. She had the experiences, the stories, the charm, and he? Well, he felt like a guy trying too hard to keep up. Then something caught his attention, a post on his phone from one of his friends. A picture of his friend's perfectly staged breakfast in Bali, tagged with a hashtag about living the dream. The thought crossed his mind. What am I doing? Why does everyone else seem to be living these exciting, perfect lives while I'm just trying to make a good impression on a first date? And right there in that moment, it hit him. Why am I letting my life be defined by comparisons? He remembered something he had recently read in a Stoic text. The Stoics believed that we shouldn't let our worth be tied to external things, to comparisons, or to what others think of us. In fact, they argued that true strength comes from mastering our emotions and not letting them be ruled by outside circumstances. He realized that what he was feeling wasn't real. It was all based on comparisons that didn't matter. Instead of focusing on how he measured up to her or how his life compared to his friend's Bali vacation, he needed to focus on the moment. What mattered now was how he responded to the situation, how he could be fully present and connect with her without needing to prove anything about himself. With that shift in perspective, he calmed himself. He decided to be honest, to be himself without the pressure to impress. You know, he said, leaning in slightly, I've realized that sometimes I get caught up in comparing myself to others, and I think I forget just to enjoy the moment. You're right. Getting lost in a foreign city sounds way more interesting than anything I've done. But I think that's what I love about hearing your stories. They remind me to live more fully, not worry about how I stack up. She smiled warmly, genuinely, and the conversation flowed from there. They connected, not because he had tried to compete with her life, but because he chose to be himself, without comparing his journey to anyone else's. This is where Stoicism offers a powerful lesson. In a world dominated by social media and constant comparisons, it's easy to feel like we're falling short. We see curated images of success, beauty, and happiness, and it's tempting to measure our own worth against those unrealistic standards. But the Stoics teach us that true confidence isn't built on what others are doing or how they perceive us. It's built on how we perceive ourselves and how we respond to life's challenges. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself comparing your life to others? Whether it's a friend's perfect vacation photos, a colleague's career achievements, or even the latest influencer's seemingly flawless lifestyle. What does that comparison really give you, except feelings of inadequacy or envy? The Stoic approach is to stop measuring your life by external yardsticks and start focusing on what truly matters: your inner strength, your values, and your actions. Instead of letting comparisons dictate your worth, you have the power to define it. This is the key to confidence, understanding that your value isn't contingent on external approval or achievements. Your value is inherent in who you are and how you choose to live. When you embrace this, you stop seeking validation from the outside world, and you become free from the need to measure up to anyone else. And here's the twist. As soon as he stopped comparing himself to her, as soon as he stopped worrying about how his life looked in comparison to his friends, he actually felt more confident. It wasn't about trying to impress her or win her approval. It was about being authentic, being present, and embracing the moment for what it was. The more he let go of external comparisons, the more he connected with her on a deeper level. So next time you find yourself comparing your life to someone else's, take a step back. Ask yourself, why am I measuring my worth by someone else's standards? Why am I letting external achievements or appearances define who I am? The truth is that your worth comes from within, not from what others have or what they think of you. Real confidence comes from embracing who you are and living according to your values, not by comparing yourself to anyone else. What would it feel like to stop measuring your worth by how others are doing? What would happen if, instead of comparing yourself to the highlight reels of others, you focused on living your own life in alignment with your own values? How much freer would you feel to be yourself, simply? This is the power of Stoicism in the digital age. It teaches us to free ourselves from the tyranny of comparison and to embrace the confidence that comes from mastering our own emotions. So, next time you find yourself scrolling through social media, ask yourself, am I letting this feed into my insecurity, or am I grounding myself in my own inner strength? The choice is yours. Number 4. Words that resonate, connecting beyond surface-level compliments. What we do now echoes in eternity. Marcus Aurelius. He sat across from her, nervously adjusting his tie. The coffee shop was buzzing with the low hum of conversation, the clink of cups, and the smell of freshly brewed espresso. He had practiced his opening lines, the compliments, the small talk. Everything was going according to plan, until it wasn't. As he complimented her smile, he noticed something strange. Her eyes didn't light up the way they had when he first met her. It was as if the words had fallen flat. She smiled politely, but it felt rehearsed. And it wasn't just her smile. Her whole demeanor seemed to shift. He could feel the gap widening between them, and the more he tried to fill it with compliments, the more distant she became. What he didn't realize at that moment was that he was making a classic mistake. He was relying on surface-level compliments, the ones that everyone gives. "You're so beautiful. I love your smile. You look amazing today." While these words are nice, they lack depth. They don't resonate with the core of who someone is. And as he soon realized, people, especially women, are not drawn to words that are merely empty flattery. They crave something more, something real, something meaningful. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of giving her another superficial compliment, he paused. He took a step back and simply asked her about her passions, about the things she cared about. "What's something that really excites you?" he asked, genuinely curious. The change was immediate. Her face lit up, and she began to speak with enthusiasm, talking about her love for painting and how it had been a constant part of her life. For the first time that evening, she seemed truly present, and so did he. This was the moment he understood the power of words that resonated, not the compliments about how she looked, but the words that connected to her essence, her passions, her true self. He wasn't trying to impress her anymore. He was simply being present, listening, and engaging in a deeper way. And this, he realized, was the true essence of communication in relationships. Why do we so often fall into the trap of superficial compliments? Perhaps it's because they're easy, quick fixes. Telling someone they look nice or complimenting their appearance can be done without much thought. But the truth is, these compliments rarely lead to deep connections. They stay on the surface. And in today's world, where everyone is bombarded with superficial interactions, it's no wonder that these types of compliments often fall flat. Stoicism, with its emphasis on inner character and authenticity, challenges us to move beyond this superficial layer and to connect with the deeper aspects of who we are and who others are. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Stoicism teaches that true connection comes from understanding ourselves and others at a deeper level, beyond what we see on the surface. Now think about this. How many times have you received a compliment that made you feel good, but didn't really make you feel seen or understood? It's the difference between someone telling you, "You look great," and someone saying, "I love how passionate you are about your work." It's inspiring. The first feels nice for a moment, but the second reaches deeper. It acknowledges your essence, your character, and what truly matters to you. It's not just about how you look. It's about who you are and what you stand for. What if you could start giving compliments that go beyond the surface? Compliments that make the other person feel truly seen? What if, instead of complimenting someone's appearance, you complimented their mind, their character, their creativity? It may seem like a small change, but in reality, it can have a profound impact on how you connect with others. This is where emotional intelligence and Stoic principles come into play. By developing emotional intelligence, we become more attuned to what truly matters to others. It's no longer about finding the right words to flatter or impress. It's about recognizing the deeper aspects of people, their passions, their struggles, their values, and acknowledging them. It's about connecting to what makes them unique and important, not just physically, but emotionally and intellectually. The twist here is that this type of communication doesn't just create stronger connections with others, it also builds a deeper connection with yourself. By focusing on what truly matters in a conversation, you begin to listen with intention, speak with authenticity, and show up in a way that is grounded in who you are. You stop playing a part and trying to impress, and you start showing up as your true self. This isn't just about making others feel seen. It's about making yourself feel heard and understood too. So let me ask you, How often do you catch yourself giving a compliment that doesn't really connect with the person? Maybe it's a quick, "You look nice," or "I like your outfit." But deep down, you know it's not the kind of compliment that's going to create a lasting connection. How much more meaningful would your interactions be if you made a conscious effort to connect with people on a deeper level? How would your relationships change if you started complimenting their character, their mind, and their heart, rather than just their appearance? The Stoics understood that the true strength of a person lies in their inner character, not in what they present to the world. And it's through acknowledging and connecting with that inner essence, both in ourselves and in others, that we build real, lasting relationships. So the next time you give a compliment, ask yourself, is this reaching the heart, or is it just another surface-level remark? And if it's the latter, maybe it's time to try something different. After all, as Stoicism teaches, the best way to connect with others is to connect with who you truly are. Number 5. Stoicism in action, becoming unshakable in challenging moments. He who is brave is free. Seneca. It was their third date. They had met at a cozy cafe in the heart of the city, the kind of place where the atmosphere felt warm and inviting. They had exchanged laughs, stories, and casual compliments, and things had felt effortless. But tonight was different. Something in the air felt heavier. She seemed distant, her responses shorter than usual, and her smile was not quite as bright. And there it was, the moment he had feared. She mentioned that she was thinking of ending things. It wasn't that she didn't like him. It was just that something didn't feel right. The room felt like it was closing in, and all he could hear was the pounding of his own heart. The thoughts raced through his mind. Did I say something wrong? Did I do something to push her away? In that split second, panic gripped him. He could feel the urgency to fix the situation, to apologize, to beg her to stay. But instead, something deep within him shifted. He remembered what he had been practicing in his life, what he had learned from Stoicism. We cannot control the actions of others, only our own responses. This moment was beyond his control, but his response, his reaction, was entirely up to him. So he took a deep breath, paused, and let the silence sit for a moment. He didn't rush to fill it with words. He simply looked at her and said, "I understand. I don't want you to feel trapped or unhappy. If this is the right choice for you, then I respect that." Her eyes softened, and she sat back in her chair. "I wasn't expecting that reaction," she said. "I thought you'd try to convince me to stay." "Well," he replied with a light smile, "I could. But I've realized that trying to control situations we can't change only leads to frustration. And I don't want to do that to either of us. If you think this is the right decision, then I respect it. That's what matters." It was in that moment, calm and steady, that he realized something powerful. Stoicism wasn't about being emotionless or detached. It was about understanding that, no matter what happens in life, we can control how we respond. Instead of becoming reactive and emotional, he had chosen to stay grounded, embracing the reality of the moment and accepting whatever came next. This is where Stoicism truly shines in action. It teaches us to embrace life's challenges with equanimity. We can't control others, and we can't control how they feel, but we can always choose how we react. In dating especially, this principle is crucial. When things don't go according to plan, when we feel rejected or misunderstood, our first instinct is often to panic, to chase, to make things right. But that's not the Stoic way. The Stoic way is to respond with composure, to accept what we can't change, and to be unshakable in the face of challenges. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself in a situation where things weren't going the way you hoped, and your first reaction was to scramble, to over-explain, to beg for understanding or affection? How did that work out for you? Probably not as well as you hoped. And that's the thing, when we lose control of our emotions, when we let panic take over, we often make things worse. But what if you could choose to be unshaken in those moments? What if, instead of reacting with anxiety, you responded with calm assurance? Think about how much more attractive that would be to the person sitting across from you. Someone who can handle life's challenges with grace, someone who doesn't let rejection or setbacks throw them off course. It's not easy, of course. We're human, and we're wired to react, especially when emotions are involved. However, Stoicism gives us a framework to change how we interact with those emotions. Instead of acting impulsively or trying to control what's uncontrollable, we can practice self-awareness and emotional regulation. We can take a step back, pause, and ask ourselves, what's the best response here? What's the most composed way to handle this situation? Let's be real for a moment. How many times have you felt like you were losing control of a situation, and in your desperation to fix it, you ended up doing more harm than good? It's easy to get caught up in the moment, but the Stoic approach asks us to step back, breathe, and choose a response that aligns with our values, not our impulses. So here's the key takeaway. Next time you face a challenge, whether on a date or in another area of your life, remember this moment. Think about how you can stay grounded and how you can respond with emotional control instead of reacting with panic or frustration. When you do that, you'll not only navigate the situation more gracefully, but you'll also exude a kind of strength that's deeply attractive. One that doesn't need to control everything around it, because it's already in control of itself. And here's the question to reflect on. How often do you let your emotions dictate your actions, especially when things don't go your way? How would your dating life and your relationships in general change if you responded with the calm confidence that Stoicism teaches us? The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. As we've explored today, Stoicism offers timeless wisdom that can transform not just our relationships, but how we navigate the complexities of modern life. By mastering emotional control, embracing simplicity, and letting go of external comparisons, we can find the true strength within ourselves. It's not about impressing others or conforming to societal standards. It's about being grounded in who we are, staying true to our values, and responding to life's challenges with calmness and resilience. Applying these Stoic principles to your daily life can lead to greater emotional intelligence, deeper connections, and a more fulfilling life overall. By focusing on what you can control, your own emotions and actions, you become the architect of your own happiness and confidence. The more you practice this, the more natural it will become, and the more you'll see the benefits unfold in your relationships and personal growth. So, ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped letting comparisons control your worth? How would things change if you started mastering your emotions and responding to situations with calm assurance? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your reflections or experiences in the comments below. I'm sure your journey could inspire others in the Stoic community. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more insights on mastering life through Stoic wisdom. Let's continue growing together, one Stoic lesson at a time.